Yeah, I want to discuss another angle on something with, they used to call this, or sometimes they used to nickname it as energy medicine. It's when you use microelectricity to maybe stimulate the body, try to or disable a microbe or cause the body to produce something more or something, and various effects. Sometimes that's known as a catch-all phrase of energy medicine. It's quite controversial, not practiced in conventional medicine, but maybe you shouldn't call it medicine per se, but experimental medicine, maybe. How's that? But let me put it to you this way: a lot of times when you buy these things called Rife machines, they're big bucks, or normally, even if they're not that much money, say they're $500 or more, they're basically frequency generators, and you'll get some information as to running frequencies and frequency sets, but it's they're a little bit difficult to program a lot of times. And the other thing is, and this is really the topic of this video, some of the frequency sets you'll have to go to another website to purchase them. They cost money, and specialized types of things. So it may not be, I don't know, there's all these different types of, I'll call them theories, because I'm not going to make any claims on anything. But my point on this is that it's the price of this Spooky 2 is beyond belief. But what's even more astounding too, beyond some of in addition to the astounding technology, the astounding program itself, is the number of custom frequency sets that are included for nothing. In other words, a lot of times people will pay extra money for these frequency sets, and you're getting them for nothing in this whole setup. And I don't sell this stuff. I'm not connected to it financially. I'm not part of anything involved with this in any way. It's just that I've been kind of experimenting with zappers and magnetic pulsars for a couple years or more. And I found out that even simple zappers have some benefits. Now, they're zapper is like a Model T compared to a Ferrari when you're talking about a Spooky 2. Okay, it's like they're light years different. But even the zapper, a simple zapper, in my opinion, has some solid benefits. But what I'm talking about here with this Spooky 2 Rife system is it's light years away from a zapper. But even a zapper itself has some definite, in my opinion, has some definite benefits. Although, the benefits have been exaggerated. Now, as far as what Spooky 2 can do, the Rife system, I don't know. Maybe it could do anything. Maybe it's just a matter of maybe finding the right parameters where the potential is fully unlocked. I know, I've read some books. Some of them, one of the better books I read about, say this prospect of using microelectricity to either heal or regenerate. The attempt to do so was from Dr. Robert Otto Becker, and an MD back in the 70s. He did a lot of experiments along this method, and actually, he's got some very solid work. It's, in my opinion, it's not BS at all. But some people say it's placebo and all this. I don't think so. But there's a small niche community out there that very much believes in this stuff, and it's not where I consider it where you believe in it like astrology or something. I actually consider it hard science. Although I really can't get my mind wrapped around how DNA you can transmit frequencies from a DNA holder to the DNA in your body. And I guess that term spooky is very applicable to that phenomenon, because it is spooky. It's like, how does that work? I mean, I guess, once if you start using it and it becomes commonplace to everybody, people pick up cell phones today, and it's like if they were doing that back in the 1930s, they'd be like, how does that phone work without a wire? So I guess, it's analogous to that. But I want to point out, his program has a load of frequencies in it. I'm actually running it on this computer in front of me. And I'm running a detox set, detoxification of the limbs set, myself and a friend of mine. And it's somebody I work with, But he's got a lot of custom frequencies in here that normally, even if you say you purchase Rife equipment, you wouldn't get all that stuff. This is actually coming with it. This is actually coming with it. This is all included. And actually the whole package of this Spooky 2 generator and the 2 remote holders is cheaper than most plain zappers out there. That's, so I mean, let me put it this way. I can't make a promise on what it's going to do for you or whatever, but it's, let me put it this way. It's, if you want to experiment with this stuff, it's the cheapest way to experiment with it, and it's the most diverse thing that you could possibly buy. Because, you know, sometimes people buy these type of things because they got a medical problem, right? And it's a last-ditch hope, you know, I don't know what to do, you know, and it's like, I gotta try it. So, you know, and it's like, this is basically being sold so cheap. It's like there's, I don't know if you know if there's a profit margin on it. It must be like, if there's a profit margin, it must be like what warehouse stores have profit margins of like 1% or 2% or something. It must be very, very low. But the thing is, you know, I can't promise nothing with, you know, serious problems or anything. But the thing is, it has other things that people are experimenting with that are not serious problems. In other words, you know, it's got the frequencies for like vitamins, like in other words, everything you put in your body has a frequency. Processed food has, I think, 0 frequency. That's why it's bad for you. And your body has a cellular frequency. As your cellular frequency goes lower, you get sicker and you eventually die, you know. So that's where, like, whatever you put in your body affects your overall health. Actually, foods that are like organic have higher frequencies than foods that are not organic. Herbs have higher frequencies than foods that are even organic. Organic herbs are higher frequencies than foods that are organic. Or essential oils have even higher frequencies than organic herbs. So, like, there's an order to this type of stuff, and I don't know if it's, you know, exactly like higher frequency is always better, but it's, you know, as far as what you put into your body, if they took the measurement of processed food, which is noted to be bad for most people, bad for people, but, you know, it's better than no food, because you can't just live on frequencies alone. I know that. I mean, you can't just live upon electronic pulses or something. But the thing is, processed food, which is known to be, you know, the worst unhealthy type of food to have versus like organic foods, processed foods, from my research, has basically no frequency in it. So it basically lowers the body's frequency, although you'll still live off of it. You'll still live off of it. But anyway, I want to show this program because it's not just about healing. It could be about regeneration. It could be about enhancement. And, you know, when you start getting into the theories of, you know, this is all in its infancy too. You start getting into the theories of, you know, the body, the cellular frequency of the body. And, you know, if you look at the book, for instance, that Dr. Robert Otto Becker wrote, The Body Electric was one of them. And, you know, I've read several books along this with magnetism, magnetic pulses, with the north side of the magnet does. There is like scientific evidence to show that they do affect the body in different ways. And who's actually more into this, where you actually see a lot more of this science, where it's taken more serious, is in Russia. Russia. You know, the home of the engineers. The home of the engineers. The Russians. So it's not like, it's not something that is like belief system, placebo, astrology, or that kind of garbage. It actually is hard empirical science with evidence. But I can't make any claims on this, of course, you know, but, you know, it's been touted and or actually known to be more like energy medicine, but there's a wide spectrum of possibilities in this. And actually what I wanted to get to is that, you know, if this ever becomes more fine-tuned, they say that if you can actually keep the body's cellular frequencies at optimal levels, you can, or spur the body's DNA to regenerate. You can actually live forever in your own body. That would be the potentiality at some point in time. That may be like 1,000 years from now, where people's lives is greatly extended due to technology, not just high-end technology using this type of thing. And this could be looked as the beginning of the start of that. Actually, Dr. Otto Becker used a certain type of stimuli on rats. He used to cut off the leg of the rat, and he used a certain stimuli, and the way it was, and I'm not going to say exactly what it was actually using a platinum and a silver electrode, very small microcurrent, but when he kept that microcurrent on there, it actually regenerated, started to regenerate the limb. And that's considered, like, rats were considered like impossible to regenerate limbs. He was actually partially regenerating limbs on rats, which was considered to be impossible to do. So basically proved the theory behind it of regeneration. So, in other words, if you have damage, in other words, this theory, now this is all in its infancy. So I want to put out that this is experimental. But I'm putting out here is that the frequency sets that are included in this program are phenomenal. It's beyond belief. I was looking at this stuff, and I'm like, looking at it for hours, and I'm like, wow, he included a lot of stuff. This was written by John White, and the program itself, and he's got a lot of custom frequency sets in here. So what I'm saying is, if you want to actually experiment with something they call it quote-unquote energy medicine, sometimes known as, or a Rife system, or some type of microelectricity to actually improve your awareness, stimulation of your third eye, your chakras. It's all in here, man. It's all in here. And usually those programs cost you extra money beyond whatever a Rife system is. So, I think this whole thing, like, if you just get 2 remotes and you get the 5 megahertz frequency generator, which is fine to run the program, you got everything you need. I think it's not much more than $200. And the program and all the frequency sets are free. And I want to show you what those frequency sets are, because they are, they go from a whole range of things. And it may help you in some way. But if you want to experiment with it, this is the cheapest way to do it. This is definitely the cheapest, and by far, in my opinion, the absolute best. In other words, it's got that big word I always look for: value. Value to the max. That's the whole word. That's the key word you got to look for in anything. Is it worth it for the money? It's actually worth it for, I don't want to say this because maybe they'll start jacking the price up. It's worth it for 10 times the money. But I don't think, the thing is, what's telling me is that they probably, that gives you a good hint of what kind of people are actually involved with this, because they could charge a hell of a lot more money. Now, does that not strike you as being very honest people? Does that not strike you as being very honest people? Like I said, I don't have any association with this, but I just try to put information out on things that I think will help people, and it's my own personal opinion. Okay, so if you want to experiment with this is the best thing in the world, I think. Let me show you what the program is. So anyway, here's my generator setup. I'm actually using a 20 megahertz generator. You only need a 5 to run this. A 5 megahertz generator. You don't need to get the more expensive one, because the 5 megahertz generator runs everything that the spooky program puts out. The 20 megahertz is if you want to run it standalone or whatever. And these are the 2 DNA remotes. They're $22.50 each plus shipping. And this is the program itself. I'm running only one generator. The green light is on. And green means it's running. This whole thing is green, so I clicked it on. You can see the program running. And I'm running limps and detox. So that's a great program, right? But I want to point out, under this list, they have the proven list. And a lot of times, well, some of these lists are free, and then some of the lists aren't free. I just want to point out that like this custom list, a lot of times you will not get this type of stuff free. You'll actually be paying separate charges, but it's all free in here. It's all free in here. So in other words, you know, this is ammonia remove, you know, some types of detoxes and stuff. All these essential oils are included in this custom program. You got a general cleanser. There's a herpes-free frequency. And, you know, the thing is, a lot of times, like these essential oils, like they'll tell you, you know, different things, trauma life. So, in other words, it blends frankincense, sandalwood, valerian, lavender, and, you know, these other things. It helps to release buried emotional trauma. Now, you know, it may or may not do everything you think you would want it to do, but with some people, it may be very helpful. And, you know, the point is, I'm saying is normally you'll be paying extra money for these frequencies on a separate charge through another company, and that's not included with the Rife machine. You know, so I mean, he's got like in here a hell of a lot of extra stuff that is normally separate charges, and you can also do with there's got, you know, different things for Lyme disease. May or may not help. You know, like I said, it's all experimental. I will put it that way. I'm not going to say it's going to work for sure, but you know, the thing is, if you want to try this out, this has got the best price, and I'm talking about super value. And like I said, I don't sell this stuff, okay? And minerals, you can Rife the minerals, right? All the minerals, the vitamins. You got Morgellons. There's all kinds of features in there for that. There's the no-dure frequencies, right? These are other things too. This is usually you have to pay money to get these frequencies or something. I think you do anyway. But it tells you what they address, you know, what different types of things they type of address. This is all under the custom thing. So, and then you have, there's a lot of different, what is this, ozone generation? I didn't even see, experimental. Experimental. But, you know, actually, if you look down here in the notes, it'll tell you what to do. And if you have to, at least, I think it's about 99% of the time at least, you don't have to change any settings. But once in a while you do, like if you're running the sweeps. And I went over that on another video if you want to take a look at that, or look at John White's video. He explains it. But just follow the directions. In other words, spooky convert sweep requires a second spooky DNA holder. I got 2 of them, so we're cool there, right? It tells you wave, sine wave, and then you put this to 96, that value to 96, this value to 100. You change this value here to -1, and this value over here to 3,258,125. It sounds complicated. I don't know the exact. Well, I think I do understand the reason now why he does that, but it's something that I think it's at least 99% of the programs you don't have to change anything. But just watch this box here when you click something on, because it'll tell you what the deal is, what it's for, or what it's attempting to address, and all that type of stuff. Now, also, we have extra frequencies on here, and it's all included in this. This is where this thing becomes the value of the value, and you know, back spasms, whatever. So maybe it may work for you, may not work for you. Back pain lower, right? Back pain generalized, right? So, and like, you know, all these over here, most of them, practically everything, you don't have to change any settings. Once in a while, there's a recommendation not to use this, to use the pad type device versus the remote holders. But most of the time, it's just running remote. Oh, here's one. What's that? Beauty. Now, I don't know if that's gonna. There you go, a beauty frequency. Now, you know, people might be interested in that. I don't know if it's going to work as, you know, it's going to turn Phyllis Diller into, you know, whatever. But let me say that you never know. You never know. But the thing is, if you want to experiment with something that has a large array of frequencies and a large array, like this has even a hormonal balance, detox, erectile dysfunction, eyesight, fissures, what the hell else is in here? There's fibromyalgia left and right. There's, you know, it's everything. Now these under the actual extras, they have not been like tested, you know, more so. In other words, I think the first 4 on this thing here, proven bio Vega and consolidated frequency list are more solid. You know, probably like the proven is actually taken from the consolidated frequency list, I think, and it's been further tested. And you probably got a pretty good idea that it's going to work. Now here you got Gulf War syndrome. So, you know, gum disease. You know, if you want to experiment with something, this is the value of the century. So, let me put it to you that way. And basically, it's for less than the price of the price of most zappers out there. So, can you beat that? No, you can't. You can't. So, I just want to point out, it's not just about the actual equipment. It's not even just about the actual, you know, the technology, the new type of technology with the DNA remotes. It's not just about the program itself. It's also about the frequency list, the custom frequency lists that are included. Now, I sound like I'm selling it, and I'm not. I'm just like blown away by this damn thing. I have no financial connection to this. I'm telling you this right now. None. Zero. And people go, bullshit. No, I don't. I know. Let me put it this way. I'm an honest guy. You know what I mean? So when I see something I think is legit, I try to tell people. And, you know, just don't get your hopes up. If you got something like really bad, you know, this thing's going to just make it disappear. But you never know. It might help. You never know. It might help. So, but it's very, 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 very inclusive. So if you want to experiment with quote-unquote energy medicine or whatever you want to call it, hey, this is the way to go.